Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Kuf Lamed Dalid Amud Aleph, the second line from the top. Our Mishnah stated in regards to Mila on Shabbos, if a person didn't take cumin and crush it before Shabbos, which would be a malacha of grinding of toichen, if he did not do that erev Shabbos, then he should put it in his mouth on Shabbos and chew it, and then place it on the makom Mila. Also, in regards to then, if a person wants to then put oil and wine, which they would normally beat together, and they would put it on the makom Mila, if they did not do that before Shabbos, then they shall not put that, they should not beat it on Shabbos, but rather put individually the yayin and the wine separately. The Gemara now says, Tonu Rabbanan, bring the following brayso: Devarim she'ein oisin lamila b'Shabbos, oisin l'biyomtiv. Those things that one cannot do on Shabbos that we just mentioned, they can, yes, be done on Yom Tiv. Sheichakin lo kamoin. If a person did not grind the cumin before Yom Tiv, he can do so on Yom Tiv. Uvetarfin lo yayin v'shemen, and he can beat the yayin and the shemen together on Yom Tiv if he didn't do so before Yom Tiv. Omar le Abai Rav Yosef. Abai said to Rav Yosef, Maishno kamoin b'Yom Tiv dechazi lekedera. Why is it that kamoin is mutter on Yom Tiv? Because it's chazi lekedera. Yayin v'shemen chazi naim b'Shabbos lechoyle. Yayin and shemen is permissible for a choyle on Shabbos too. So why can't you beat them together? Says the Gemara, and he now proves his point, the Tanya. For it states in the Brisa, Ein tarfin yayin v'shemen lechoyle b'Shabbos, according to Tana Kama. Rav Shimon Elazar mishum Rabbi Meir. Whereas Rabbi Meir says, Af torfin yayin v'shemen, you can, yes, beat the yayin and shemen together on Shabbos. The Brisa continues, Om Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar pam achas chash Rabbi Meir ben Meyav. There was a time when Rabbi Meir was ill with intestinal problems. Ubikashnu litref lo yayin v'shemen lo hinchanu. And we want to beat wine and oil together as a way of then giving him some sort of therapeutic remedy. And he didn't let us. Omarnu loy, we said to him, Dvarecho yivatlu bechayecha. Is your own words going to be then nullified in your lifetime? After all, you yourself said that one can, yes, beat wine and oil together. Omar Lonu, he said to us, Af ani oimer kach, v'chaverai oimrim kach, miyomai lo mela'ani libi la'avor al divrei chaverai. It's true, I did say it, but I'm not going to then transgress the words of my comrades who said otherwise. Hu nihu demachmi anavshei. But Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says that he was machmi on himself. Aval lekuli amashari, but everybody else, indeed, would say that it's mutter. In other words, he was machmir on himself, but la halacha, one can, yes, be taref shemen and yayin together on Shabbos. Now, Rabbi Meir, the Stam Mishnah is like Rabbi Meir, and therefore he should also then say that should be permitted on Shabbos as well in our Mishnah. Answers the Gemara, Hasam loy boy lecha, hocha boy licha. The difference is that over there, it doesn't need a lot of beating together, and therefore he permitted it. But over here, in regards to the Mila, to make it effective, one has to be tarif, has to beat it very good together. Hochanami na'aved v'lo leilich. So then why don't we just do that? We won't beat it very, very well. We'll just do it in a moderate way. Answers the Gemara, Hainu diktani noisin ze b'fnei atv b'fnei atv. That's what we meant when we said that you place this one separately from the other, where you put shemen and then you put yayin. You put it in, let's say, a bowl together, then you place it on the makom Mila. That would be sufficient. That would be okay, and that's what the Mishnah says one can do on Shabbos. Tanu Rabbanon, the Gemara brings the following brayso: a mesanis hachardal b'mesanis shaloi. One cannot strain mustard seeds in its strainer on Shabbos. And one cannot place the the mustard seeds in over a gecheles, over a burning coal. Omar Abai Rav Yosef. Abai now asks Rav Yosef, which is really not the topic of Mila anymore, but in regard to then various halachos, he asks him, "Mai shna meha?" Why is this different than the following, which is stated in our Mishnah? The Kamon, the Snan, in regard to Shabbos, Noisim Beitim Misaneh Shel Chardal. One can place a raw egg in a strainer with a strainer of mustards. In other words, to give the mustards a different type of coloring. Therefore, you can put a raw egg and strain it. So why over here is it permissible? Here in regards to Shabbos, before I mentioned Shabbos, but it really is referring to Yom Tif. Indeed, it says over there, "A mesanes hachayda b'smesano sheloi ve'matkino yisod b'gechos." It's talking about even on Yom Tif, and yet our Mishnah states that you can take a raw egg and place it in a strainer to then give the mustard seeds color. Why is that permissible? In regard to the raw eggs, it's not mechsi. It doesn't appear to then be like you're being borer. All you're doing is putting the eggs inside, so there's no issue. But over here, it does appear to be borer, and therefore midrabban it's osur. It says over here that we mentioned you can't be sweetening the mustard seeds by putting it and covering it a gechales, a burning coal, because that could cause the coal to go out. That will cause the coal to go out, and there'll be an issue of mechabe on Yom Tif. Omar le bahasam of Hatanya. He asks him, but we have a brayta that says the opposite. Mematkin oisoy begacheles. You could do this. Lo Kasha answers the Gemara, kan begacheles shel mateches, kan begacheles shel eitz. When you have a gacheles shel eitz, so then you're going to then being over the iser of being mechabe, where actually you're going to make it into you're making the coals into into charcoal, and that's when there's going to be an issue of iser deraisa. Whereas if it's going to be gacheles of mateches, so then it's not going to make charcoal, and therefore there will not be an issue in iser deraisa, only in iser derabanan. So that's the difference. Amar le Abai le Rav Yosef. He asked him further, "Mai shna mebistro agumri?" Why is this different than taking basar and putting it on burning coals on Yantiv? Won't you also be putting out the coals and being over in iser mechabe? Here we're talking about coals that are made out of eitz, and therefore you would be over in iser deraisa of making then charcoal. He says because when regards to then roasting the meat, that is not possibly done on Erev Yom Tif, because then the taste would not be as fresh, and therefore it's not possible. And therefore when you do it on Yom Tif, it's mutter. Masha Enken, when it comes to what we mentioned before, in regards to the mustard seeds, they can become sweetened before Yom Tif, and it won't make any difference in the quality of the taste, whether it was done before Yom Tif or it was done on Yom Tif. Omar le Abai le Rav Yosef ma legaben. Asks Abaye, what about making cheese on Yom Tif? Can you do that? Omar le also, you cannot do that. Maishna Melisha, he asked him, what's the difference between that and being lush when you're kneading dough to bake on Yom Tif? That you're able to do, and yet when it comes to then making cheese, which requires lisha, that you're saying is not permissible. Again, the similar answer. In regards to over there, when it comes to bread, and you then lush the dough and put it into then the tanur, into the oven and bake it, it's fresh bread. That bread is qualitatively different when you make it on Yom Tif than if you were to make it on Erev Yom Tif. Masha'en came when it comes to what we're mentioning over here. When you take the gavina, the cheese, if you were to then go ahead and mold the cheese before Yom Tif, it would not be qualitatively different than if you would do it on Yom Tif itself, and therefore it's prohibited. Asks Abai v'ho amrei din erdoi gvina bas yomi ma'alia. In erdoi they say a gvina that was made on that day is very good. Hochika amrei, this is what they meant to say. Da'afilu gvina bas yomi ma'alia, that even if gvina was made on that day, it's also good, but it's not better than if it would be made the day before. The Gemara now quotes the Mishnah, Ein oisin lo chaluk a person cannot make a beged for the aver where the milah was done, because that would be fashioning a kli. Now here, it's not for the bris milah, and it's not even for the refu of the child. We said that this is being done in order to then, so that the skin does not then go back to its original position, whereby he'd have to then have another bris milah. So therefore, it's not permissible to then make a chaluk for the makom milah. Omar Abaye, Amar li aim. Abaye says in the name of the one who raised him, he was a yasoin. Hay chaluk di yanuka. This chaluk that we're mentioning, this beged that goes for the child's over the child's bris milah, lifone lesitra leilo. You should take the hem and you should turn it upwards. Dilma midbek garda minei va'asile krus shofcha. Perhaps then, because if you don't do that, the threads can become attached to the wound of the bris milah and then cause the aver to become severed. He'll be a krus shofcha. Ima de abai abda kisatasa lepalgo. It says that his mother, the one who raised him, she would indeed make a covering that would be a lining halfway down. In other words, even if there were threads that were going to be towards the inside, not the outside, but she would protect the child's wound by making a lining that would go all through the down the halfway of the place where there would be a wound, whereby it would never affect the wound. Omar Abayi, now Abayi gives his own advice. If a child doesn't have this type of beged that goes over where the makom milah is, then laisi belisa the islay sifsa, then bring a rag that has a hem, v'licharche lesifsa litatoi, then wrap it around the bottom, the hem on the bottom, so that it's tightly snug, and then double it over so that it will go outwards towards the top. Again, so that no threads would possibly then be attached to the makom of the milah. V'amar Abayi Amar li'eim, he said in the name of the one who raised him, his surrogate mother, Hayenuka de lo yadia mefakte. This child who is not known to mefakte refers to not know where his piat habas is. It's been covered somewhat. Lashaife mishcha, one should then rub oil. Velukma lahade yoima, and place the child in the sun. Vehecha de zoig likroi besarosa shosi va'erev. Then he should take a barley, and he should then put in that area where the anus is, he should make it a shesi and erev. Aval bekli matachos loy. You should not use a kli matachos mishum dezoriv, because then it could cause neficha. It can cause the swelling. Va'omar Abaye amali aim, and Abaye said in the name of his one who raised them, hayenuka deloy ma'itz. If a newborn child is not able to suck, then make your dakar pume. It must be because his lips have become chilled and cold. What should you do? My takante, what is the remedy for this? Leisu koisa gumre. You should take a cup of burning coals, and put it near his lips to then heat him up. It'll warm up his lips and he'll be able to then suck. And again, the one who raised Abaye shares with us other types of eitzos. If a child is not breathing to the point where you can see the breath, you don't see that the chest is going up and down, then then you should fan him with a fan, and then he'll breathe more discernibly. Another eitzah, if a child is not breathing easily, then you should bring a siltiasa the ime. That means you should bring the mother's shilya, which is the afterbirth, and you should then place it over the child, and that itself will then assist him in then breathing well again. If you have a child who's very, very thin, emaciated, a newborn that's emaciated, you should take that afterbirth, the shilya, and you should then place it over the child from the narrow part to the more wider part, which would indicate that he should become more widened. And if he himself is bloated, then the opposite direction, take the wide part first to the more narrow part. She said the following: if there's a child who is red, which is an indication that the blood has not become absorbed in his body, then you should wait to give him a bris milah. Only once the dam has been absorbed into his body, then give the bris milah. The yaruk v'akati linofil beidamya, if he is yellow and very weak because the blood has not literally fallen into his body, it has been again a form of absorption. Lisrichu ad nafil beidame v'limahale. Then you should wait until the blood does fall, become better absorbed into the body, and then give a bris milah. The Tanya, the Gemara now brings a brisa with the following incidents. Omar of Nosen Bam Achas, of Nosen said Bam Achas, one time halachti the karchei ayam, I went to the seaport, to the cities on the sea. Ubas isha achas lifonai, and a woman came before me. Shemola b'na rishon umeis, who made a bris milah on her first son and he died. Sheni umeis, the second son, and he died. Shlishi eviosoi lifonai, she brought the third one to me. Ra'isi shehu adoim, I saw that he was red. Amarti lo, I said to her, himtini loi, wait asheyivla boy damoy, wait until the blood absorbs into his body. Himtina loi ashenivla boy damo umala oisa v'chaya. She waited, she listened to my advice, and she waited until his blood was absorbed into his body, and then she gave him a bris milah, and he was alive, he stayed alive. V'hayu karin oisoi nasan habavli al shmi, and she called him nasan habavli, after me. Another incident, Shuv Pam Achaz Alach Medinas Kuputkia. I went to the area called Kuputkia. Ubas Isha Achaz Lefonai Shemala Buna Rishon Umeis Sheni Umeis Shlishi Heviato Lefonai. Same incident reoccurred with another woman. The first one, she was mal, died. The second one, she was mal, died. The third one she brought to me. Ra'isi Shehu Yarok, I saw that he was yellow. He was yellow and weak. Hitzatzti boy, I looked at him, v'lo ra'isi boy dam bris. I also saw that he didn't have dam in the area of the bris, which means I couldn't be able to extract any blood, which is required for bris milah. So there's two issues over here. One issue is that he's weak. Second issue, which means that he would not fare well with a bris milah. He could die from a bris milah. And secondly, there's not going to be hatafas dam bris, because he doesn't have dam in that area. Amarti lo, I said to her, himtini loy asheyipol boy damoy. I said, wait until then the blood literally falls into his system and becomes then stronger again. And thereby they'll also have blood in that area. V'himtini loy umala oisa v'chaya. She waited, she listened to my advice, and then she was mal him, and he was alive, he stayed alive. And she called him Nasna Bavli in my name.